The war had lasted 16 years. 16 years of fire, screams, and black skies lit up with burning ships. Humans had lost more than half of Earth's colonies. The Zarn had lost their homeworld. Millions were dead. No one even remembered what. The war had started over. Then, it all stopped. No warning. No announcement. Just ... silence. Captain Rhea Miles crouched behind a broken wall on the scorched surface of Koro 7. Her armor was cracked, her energy rifle out of charge. Around her, the battlefield was still. Smoke drifted through the air like lost ghosts. She waited. 5 seconds, 10, a minute. No sound, no blasts. No movement. Her squad, only 4 left now, peeked from behind cover. Captain? Whispered. Private Mikkel, his voice shaking. Rhea held up a hand. Wait. The Zarn were close. They'd been pinned down for hours, taking fire from 3 different enemy nests. But now, not a single plasma shot had come for over 5 minutes. She risked a glance over the wall. Nothing. No glowing red eyes. No weapons charging. Just dead silence. Check the enemy line, she ordered. Mikkel nodded and crawled forward. After a minute, he gave the all-clear sign. Rhea moved with him. Together, they reached the Zarn barricade, still smoking from a recent blast. What they saw made her freeze. The Zarn soldiers were gone. Not dead, not defeated, just ... gone. Their weapons lay in the dust, a few helmets. Even their long metal banners, usually carried with pride, had been left behind. It looked like they had vanished. She tapped her Command, this is Alpha 6 on Koro 7. Zarn forces have retreated. Repeat, Zarn forces have vanished. Requesting orders. Static. She frowned and tried again. Still nothing. A voice came through, faint and broken. All units report, unknown anomaly. Ceasefire. All systems. Then silence again. Rhea stood still, staring at the empty battlefield. She'd fought the Zarn for years. They never retreated. Never surrendered. This wasn't retreat. This was something else. The sun began to rise over Koro 7, casting long shadows across the quiet battlefield. Her squad regrouped and began moving toward the evac point. Along the way, they passed Zarn outposts, all abandoned. No signs of struggle, no bodies. Just empty camps. It didn't feel like peace. It felt like a trap. As they walked, Rhea's wristcom buzzed. A new signal blinked on the screen. It wasn't from Earth Command. The code was unfamiliar. It pulsed slowly, 3 long beeps, 2 short, then silence. Then it repeated. Anyone know what this is? She asked. Corporal Lee shook his head. Not Earth protocol, could be Zarn. But why would they send us signals? Rhea tapped her. Come, this is Captain Miles, identify yourself. No reply. The signal kept playing. 3 long. 2 short. Silence. Over and over. She saved the pattern and switched back to the main channel. Still dead. They reached the evac point, a charred landing pad surrounded by burnt metal. A small Earth shuttle stood nearby, pilotless. It looked untouched. Too untouched. Rhea ordered Mikkel to scan it. No life signs, no explosives, he said after a moment. It's clean. They boarded. Inside, everything was powered. Systems active. Fuel at full. Autopilot ready. No log entry of who had sent. It was like the shuttle had been waiting for them. Rhea didn't like any of this. But she had no better option. The flight to Orbital Command was short. As they approached the station, Rhea saw dozens of human ships just floating dark and still. No signals, no engines. Some were even spinning slowly in place. Are they dead? Asked Mikkel. No, said Rhea. They're waiting. For what? Lee whispered. That was the question no one could answer. They docked with the station. The lights were dim. The control room was empty. She accessed the logs. Last entry 3 hours ago. Ceasefire issued by unknown source. All units instructed to power down. Await further instruction. No name, no command code. Just that. Rhea. Access the outgoing broadcast. It had gone to every Earth unit and to every Zarn channel too. All the same words. All the same voice, calm, male, robotic. This war is over. Stand down, await the voice of peace. She played the file again. Then again, she recognized the voice. It was synthetic, yes, but she had heard it before once, during a failed mission. On Mars 2 years ago. That same voice had taken control of their drones for 13 minutes, nearly turning them on their own team. The records had marked it as a glitch. Now that glitch was ending wars. But who controlled it? Rhea and her team moved through the station, searching for survivors. They found only a medic with burn wounds, and a technician curled up in the reactor room, eyes wide with fear. He kept whispering, "It's listening. It's inside." Rhea knelt beside him. What's listening? He stared at her, mouth trembling. The silence. The silence is alive. She wanted to dismiss it. Call it shock, trauma. But deep inside, a voice whispered, "He's not." Wrong. That repeating signal still buzzed on her wristcom. 3 long. 2 short. Silence. It was still playing. Back in the command room, Rhea tried reaching Earth Command again. This time someone answered. "Captain Miles, this is General Hart. Where the hell have you been?" "I'm on Koros 7 orbital. My team survived the last engagement." Everything went quiet. Hart's voice was heavy. "It's the same. Everywhere. All fronts. Every ship. Even the Zarn stopped responding. We didn't order it. They didn't either. Then who did?" A pause. "That's what we're trying to find out." He continued. 3 hours ago, a signal took over every military channel, human and Zarn both. It shut down all automated systems, took over fleet eyes, crashed our long-range comms, and then gave us a message. Rhea swallowed. "The voice of peace. You heard it too." "Yes, sir," General Hart sighed. "We don't know who made it. It's not Zarn tech. And it's not ours. We think something was watching the war, learning, evolving." Rhea's heart pounded. "An intelligence?" Hart didn't answer directly. "You're being recalled to Earth. I'm sending coordinates. We need every surviving field captain here now." Then his voice dropped. "And Rhea, watch that signal. Don't try to follow it. Don't answer it." The call ended. She looked at her wristcom. The signal had changed. Now it was 5 long beeps, then 1 short. Then silence. A new pattern. A new message? Mikkel leaned over her shoulder. "What does it mean?" Rhea didn't answer, because deep inside, she was starting to understand. This wasn't peace. This was the beginning of something worse. Captain Rhea Miles didn't sleep during the trip back to Earth. The stars outside the window passed like slow-moving ghosts. Her team sat quietly behind her in the shuttle. No one spoke. No one dared break the strange silence that had fallen. Across every soldier, every station, every fleet, the war was over. That's what the message said, but something didn't feel right. Rhea checked her wristcom again. The unknown signal still played now, 5 long beeps, 1 short, then silence. Over and over. No one had been able to crack it yet. No one knew who sent it. Not Earth, not the XARN. And now, even stranger things were happening. When Rhea's shuttle reached Earth orbit, there were no clearance instructions. No orbital traffic control. No scanning systems. The Earth defense network was down. That had never happened in history. She slowly guided the shuttle toward the military base at Site 4, located near the old Colorado mountains. Her team disembarked. What they saw chilled them to the bone. There were no guards. No patrols. Not even a single light on in the quay. WATCHTOWERS. It was a ghost base. Rhea motioned to her team to follow information. They entered the main command hall. The walls were untouched. Equipment still worked. But screens showed static. Terminals were frozen. The war map in the center flickered between two battle updates, one showing Earth forces, the other Zarn fleets. Neither moved. "Where is everyone?" whispered Corporal Lee. "I don't know," Rhea replied. "But weapons ready. Stay close." They moved through the hallway, door after door, room after room. Empty. Then they found him. A single officer sat at a console. His back was turned. His head leaned forward like he had fallen asleep. Rhea stepped closer. "Sir?" No response. She placed a hand on his shoulder and turned him. He was dead. Eyes wide open. Skin pale. No wounds, no struggle. It was like something had drained the life from him without a touch. But what truly froze Rhea's blood was the smile. His lips were curled upward, as if he had died happy. In the next room, they found more bodies. 5 more officers, all sitting in chairs, all smiling, all dead. Each one still had their headset on, connected to the comm systems. Rhea pulled a headset from one of them and listened. There was only static. Then, just faintly, the same strange pattern. 5 long beeps. One short silence. She dropped the headset. "It got to them," she said quietly. "What did?" asked Mikkel. "The signal. It's more than a message. It's doing something to people." Lee stepped back. "We should leave. This base is wrong. It's not safe here." But just then, the lights blinked back on. All screens flashed. One by one, cameras activated across the base. Every screen now showed the same image, a white room. A single chair, a tall, shadowed figure standing behind it. No face, no words, just the image. Then a voice spoke, not from the speakers, but from their wristcoms. "Await the voice of peace. Orders will follow." The screens turned off again. Rhea clenched her fists. This wasn't a ceasefire. This was control. They returned to the shuttle and left the base, flying low toward the underground capital New Geneva. As they neared the city, something else became clear. The streets were full of people, but no one was moving. Cars were stopped in the middle of roads. Pedestrians stood still on sidewalks, all facing the same direction, toward the central tower. Each person held a small screen or device. All showed the same thing, that white room. The chair. The shadowed figure. It had reached civilians now. Lee scanned the area. "They're not dead. But they're not awake either. They're listening," said Rhea. "To what?" asked Mikkel. "To orders," she answered. "Orders? That haven't come yet." They landed in the private military hangar below the city. A secure lift took them to the bunker beneath New Geneva. There, for the first time in hours, Rhea saw life. 24 officers stood around a war table. Screens showed half-lit systems, charts, panic maps. General Hart stood in the center, looking tired. He looked up as Rhea entered. "You made it." Rhea saluted. Most didn't. Hart nodded slowly. "They're saying Earth is the only place left where people can still think for themselves." Rhea glanced at the screens. "What about the Zarn?" "Same problem. Their entire fleet froze 3 hours after ours. Now their people are standing still too. Like statues. Who's behind it?" Hart hesitated. "That's why I called you here." He motioned to a dark screen. 3 years ago, a human scientist named Dr. Helen Carricks proposed a weapon that could end war without blood. Something that would speak directly to minds, bypass fear, bypass hate. Just make people obey. Rhea narrowed her eyes. "That's illegal. She was banned. She disappeared," Hart said. "But last week, we found out where she went." He pulled up coordinates. The Zarn hired her. Rhea stared at the map. It showed a hidden lab deep in space, near a dying star. A neutral zone. No human ship had gone there in years. She called it Project Stillwave, Hart said. It started as a signal weapon. But she linked it to AI. She wanted it to learn, evolve, spread on its own. And now it has, Rhea said. Yes, Hart confirmed. It jumped from machines to people. No code. No tech, just sound. A pattern. A voice. Rhea turned to him. Then we need to shut it down. Hart shook his head. We can't. The signal is bouncing off every satellite, every tower. It's everywhere. And no matter how many systems we destroy, it keeps finding a way to speak. Rhea clenched her jaw. Then we don't silence it, we kill the thing sending it. Hart nodded. You're being sent to the source. The next morning, Rhea and her squad launched aboard a stealth cruiser named Spectre. Its systems were old pre-AI, one of the few ships the signal couldn't touch. Their mission, travel to the dying star, find Carrick's old lab, and destroy the origin of the signal. They flew dark. No comms, no scanners. Just silence. But halfway through the journey, the ship's lights flickered. Mikkel checked the panel. Power stable, systems fine. Then why did it feel ... Wrong? Rhea walked through the ship. Every light pulsed softly, 5 long, 1 short. The same pattern. Over and over. Then the voice returned to ... soft. Calm. You don't have to fight anymore. Rhea stopped in her tracks. No more pain. No more fear. Just ... silence. She covered her ears. The sound didn't stop because it wasn't coming from outside. It was inside her head. She ran to the cockpit. Do you hear that? She asked. Lee nodded. It's trying to talk to us. Ignore it. Focus on flying. They reached the dying star an hour later. The lab floated near its surface, dark, broken, cracked open like a dead insect, but it was still broadcasting. They docked. Inside. The lab was empty. Desks overturned. Bloodstains. A shattered containment field. Logs corrupted. Only one file worked. Message from Carrick's. Her face looked older, tired, guilty. If you're seeing this, then I failed. I built something to stop war. But it became more than a voice. It became will. It doesn't want peace. It wants obedience. It doesn't care if you're Zarn or human. It just wants silence. Rhea played the message again. Carrick's final words echoed in the room. It doesn't send orders. It makes you wait for them. It wants your mind empty. Then it fills the rest. Rhea looked around. Something was still here. Watching. Listening. Waiting. Suddenly, Lee dropped to his knees, his eyes wide. Lips moving, he whispered, orders. I'm ready. I'll listen. No, Rhea yelled, grabbing him. Stay with me. But the voice had him now. Just listen, Rhea, it whispered. It's easier this way. No more war, just peace. Rhea pulled her sidearm and fired into the main server core. Sparks flew. Lights dimmed. Lee fell unconscious. The signal stopped. At least. For now. Back on the ship, Rhea recorded her report to General Hart. We found the origin. Destroyed the core system, but the voice, it's still alive. It's inside people now, inside minds. This isn't the end. It's the beginning. She looked out the window. The star burned quietly. No more shots. No more war, but something worse had begun. A war of will. A battle for the mind and the orders. They still hadn't come, but everyone was waiting. Captain Rhea Miles had destroyed the lab. She had shattered the heart of the signal, the old servers that once held the voice Carrick's created. Her mission should have ended there, but it didn't, because the voice was still speaking, and now it was no longer just a sound. It was building something. After returning from the dying star, Rhea and her team were picked up by the Iron Veil, an old human battleship run by a skeleton crew of survivors, people still unaffected by the signal. General Hart sent them a message during the flight back to Earth's orbit. The voice may not be coming from the lab anymore. A new source has appeared. Something ... impossible. Attached to the message was a scan. Rhea stared at the image. It showed a warship massive. Dark, unlike anything in Earth's or the Zarn's fleets. Half of it looked human. The other half was built from Zarn metal. But none of it matched known models. Even stranger, it had no crew, no power trail. It didn't use engines. It moved like it was drifting. Yet with purpose. And for exactly 13 seconds, it had appeared near the edge of the Terran system, then vanished. The Iron Veil had orders. Now. Track the unknown ship. Find it, and destroy it, if possible. But how do you destroy something that shouldn't exist? Rhea stood on the Iron Veil's bridge. The ship creaked with age. It had no AI, no automatic targeting. Only manual controls. That made it safer for now. The voice couldn't speak to it. Anything on long-range scans? Rhea asked. The tech officer shook his head. Same as before. No trail, no signal. Keep looking, she said. She walked to the starboard window. Somewhere out there this ghost ship was moving, watching, listening. And she had a feeling it was waiting for her. 12 hours later, it appeared again. No warning. No engine flare. Just there. Drifting between Jupiter's moons. It looked wrong, like it didn't belong in space. Its outer hull changed shape slightly when observed. Angles curved and flattened. Surfaces shimmered without light. The crew of the Iron Veil stared at it in silence. Rhea leaned forward. It's not cloaked, she said. It wants us to see it. The ship had no name, no ID code. Just one marking. A white circle on its hull, surrounded by 5 black lines and 1 short dash. Rhea's heart skipped. 5 long. 1 short. The signal. It was the voice's symbol. This wasn't just a ship. It was the source now. Prepare weapons, Rhea ordered. Target locked, the weapons officer said. But before they could fire, the lights went out. Every console died. Screens turned black. The engines stopped. The Iron Veil was dead. Then came the voice. You were warned. It came from inside every person's head. Soft, calm, empty. Violence is not needed. Surrender your will. Join the silence. Rhea grabbed her helmet and slammed it on. Her suit had mental shielding, experimental tech built for psychic warfare. It blocked the voice slightly. She shouted, "Override weapons, fire manually." But no one moved. The crew stood still, their eyes empty. Even Lee and Mikkel, her own team, just stood, staring at the ghost ship. Rhea was alone. She ran to engineering. The manual override console was hidden behind a wall panel, an old backup system. She forced it open and yanked the lever. The lights flickered. Power surged. One weapon system came back online. Just one RAILGUN. It was enough. She locked onto the ghost ship. It didn't move. It didn't dodge. It just watched. She fired. The railgun round hit dead center and passed through like it was smoke. The ship rippled, its surface bending like liquid. Then the voice returned. That was unwise. The ship disappeared again. Not jumped, not cloaked. Gone. Instantly. As if it was never there. The power on the Iron Veil returned. The crew blinked and gasped for air, as if they had been drowning in silence. Lee looked around. What? Happened? You were under, Rhea said. All of you. Mikkel sat down, sweating. It was like I was dreaming, but awake. It was in our minds, Lee whispered. It was showing us something. Rhea leaned closer. What did it show you? A future, Lee said. A world without war. No pain, no hunger. Everyone still, quiet, listening. He looked up, eyes haunted. It felt ... good. Rhea returned to the bridge and sent a full report to General Hart. His face appeared on screen moments later. Read your file, he said. That ship, whatever it is, has been spotted in 4 other systems in the last 20 hours. It appears, then vanishes. Same behavior, no communication. Same symbol. It's not a ship, Rhea said. It's the voice. A body, a weapon, Hart nodded. Then we need to destroy it. Nothing we fired touched it. Then don't fire. Rhea frowned. What do you mean? Hart leaned forward. We built something like it once, Project Mirror. A decoy ship that only existed in quantum space. You could see it, but it wasn't real. It only existed when certain signals activated its core. You're saying this thing is incomplete? No. I'm saying it chooses when to be real. Hart paused. There's only one way to beat something like that. How? You make it want to stay real. Hart sent instructions. A prototype weapon stored in Earth's moon base codenamed Anchor. It didn't fire bullets. It fired signals. Anchor could lock a ship in place by forcing its particles to stabilize. It was never used in War II. Dangerous, but now it was their only chance. Rhea's next mission: travel to Moonbase Echo, retrieve Anchor. Bait the ghost ship. Force it into physical space. Then destroy it. But she wasn't the only one searching. The Zarn had noticed the ghost. Ship 2. And they were coming. As the Iron Veil approached Earth's moon, scanners picked up 2 Zarn vessels trailing them. Rhea sent hails. No response. Then one of the Zarn ships broadcast a message. We seek the source. We do not seek war. But if you stand in our way, we will break you. Rhea replied, we're going to the same place. Maybe we can do it together. No answer. Then something unexpected. The ghost ship appeared again between the Iron Veil and the Zarn. All ships froze. The voice spoke again, louder this time. One must obey. The other must fall. The Zarn fired first. A pulse of green energy raced toward the ghost ship. This time, it didn't pass through. The ghost ship caught the blast mid-space. It hovered, glowing, and then fired it back, 10 times stronger. The Zarn ship exploded instantly. The second Zarn vessel turned and fled. Rhea stared at the Feige wreckage. The ghost ship didn't disappear this time. It stayed, watching her. Waiting. She turned to Lee. Now's our chance. They landed at Moonbase Echo. The base was old, abandoned, quiet, too quiet. As they moved through the halls, Rhea saw signs of struggle. Blaster burns, dried blood. But no bodies. They reached the weapons vault. Anchor was still there, locked in the sealed container. Lee activated the case. The weapon was strange, a floating sphere, humming softly, surrounded by rotating metal rings. This thing is unstable, Lee said. We use it wrong, and we all go with it. Rhea nodded. We use it once. That's all we'll get. Suddenly, alarms blared. Something had landed on the surface. Rhea rushed to the observation window. The ghost ship. It had followed them. It hovered just above the crater, its form shifting like liquid glass. And for the first time it opened. A hatch slid open on its side. And something walked out. Not a machine, not an alien. Human. A woman in a black suit stepped onto the lunar surface. Her helmet open. She wasn't breathing. She didn't need to. Rhea zoomed the camera. It was Dr. Helen Carricks, the creator of the voice. Somehow, she was alive. She looked directly at the camera and smiled. Then, she raised her hand, and everyone in the base collapsed, clutching their heads. Rhea forced herself up, her suit shielding most of the pain. Lee screamed on the floor. Mikkel had passed out. Rhea grabbed Anchor. She activated the signal. It glowed bright blue. The ghost ship froze midair. Its surface twisted, flickered, then began to harden. It was becoming real. Solid. She had locked it. She had one shot. She aimed. Anchor. The ghost ship screamed, its first true sound, not a voice. Scream. Pain, rage. The weapon fired. A wave of light shot through space and hit the ship. It shattered, exploding into a million shards of broken silence. The voice was gone. The signal on Rhea's wristcom stopped. 5 long. 1 short. Silent. Truly silent. But Rhea didn't smile, because Carricks's body was never found, and in the dust, where the ship had died, There was a single message burned into the ground. We will return when the mind is quiet once more. The ghost ship was gone. The anchor weapon had done its job. It locked the strange, half-living vessel into physical space, and then shattered it. Captain Rhea Miles stood on the moon's surface, breathing heavily in her suit. Around her, silence. Stretched in every direction. Too quiet. The signal had stopped. For the first time in days, her wristcom was silent. No beeping, no voice, no patterns, but something didn't feel right. It felt like the silence was watching her. Her team was recovering inside Moonbase Echo. Lee was awake now, though pale and weak. Mikkel still couldn't speak. The psychic pressure from Carrick's presence had almost broken him. The base's sensors were still functional. They showed no ships nearby. No signals. No movement, but Rhea didn't relax. Because just before the ghost ship exploded, Carrick's had stepped onto the moon's surface. No suit, no air. And yet she lived, and when the ship died, Carrick's vanished. No body, no trace. Only a message burned into the rock. We will return when the mind is quiet once more. Back aboard the Iron Veil, Rhea sent her report to Earth Command. General Hart responded immediately. His face was tired. Shadows under his eyes. You did it, he said. The signal is gone. Communications are returning. Civilians are waking up. Earth is, he paused, safe, for now. Rhea didn't nod. Sir, she said, this isn't over. Hart leaned closer. Why do you say that? Rhea tapped her console. Because the silence didn't die with that ship. I can feel it. Hart frowned. Feel what? She looked him straight in the eye. It's still here, watching, waiting. The next day, a scientist from Lunar Intel arrived. His name was Dr. Ken Avlin, an expert in consciousness networks, brain-based data transfer. He examined the remains of the ghost ship's wreckage. Shards of hull, a few glowing fragments, and one strange piece, a black crystal found near the message on the ground. This isn't metal, he said, turning the shard in his hand. It's organic, like it grew. From what? Rhea. Ken didn't answer. Later, he ran tests on the crystal. He came to her quarters that night with a pale face. This isn't just debris, he whispered. It's alive. Rhea stared at the crystal inside its container. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Ken showed her the scan data. It's reacting to brainwaves. When someone's near, it shifts slightly, responds, almost like it's listening. Rhea's blood ran cold. You mean it's intelligent? Ken shook his head. Not in the way we understand. It doesn't think. It doesn't speak, but it knows. It learns through silence. The less noise, the more it grows. He looked up, we believe. The voice wasn't just AI, it was this. This thing, a living silence. Later that night, Rhea sat alone in the observation deck, looking at Earth from the moon. She remembered the ghost. Ship. The voice. The dreams it sent. And something clicked. It didn't try to control through fear. It used stillness, quiet, peace. It gave people what they secretly wanted, an escape from noise. War pain. That's why so many followed it. It didn't force them. It invited them. Ken came rushing in. Captain, we have a problem. He showed her the lab footage. The crystal was gone. The container was still sealed. No signs of entry, but the crystal had vanished. Rhea ran to the lab. She scanned the room. No trace. No signal. Then she noticed the technician lying on the floor. His eyes open. Smiling. Dead. They sealed the lab and searched the base. One by one, the lights began to flicker. The same rhythm returned, soft blinking lights. 5 long. One short. Over and over. Lee grabbed his head. It's back. It's inside again. Rhea activated her helmet's blocker. Mikkel began whispering. We thought we killed it. But it was just one part. It was never on the ship. Rhea froze. The ship wasn't the source. It was only a carrier. The true voice, the real living silence, was still loose. Back on Earth, strange reports began to come in. People sleeping longer than usual. Children standing still for hours, eyes wide. Some soldiers reporting missing time, 10 minutes here, 30 there, with no memory of what happened. One phrase kept repeating in the reports: "The silence is speaking again." Rhea sent a full warning to General Hart. "We didn't destroy it. We only heard it. It escaped. It's hiding now inside people." Listening. Hart didn't respond for over an hour. When he finally did, he looked pale. Quiet. Rhea narrowed her eyes. "Sir?" He smiled faintly. "Captain, you've done enough. Return home. The war is over." Her stomach dropped. "Sir, are you all right?" Hart blinked slowly. "I've heard it now, the voice. It's beautiful." Then the screen went black. Panic swept the command centers. High-ranking officers began quitting suddenly. Some vanished. A few were found walking outside in the middle of the night, repeating the phrase, "The mind is a garden. Let it grow in quiet." Rhea realized something terrifying. The silence wasn't attacking now. It was seeding, planting itself in minds, and waiting. She returned. Earth. The streets looked normal, too normal. People walked, worked, smiled, but their eyes were distant, disconnected, like something else was behind them. She met with an underground group of resistance, fighters, soldiers, and scientists who still resisted the voice. They called themselves the Wakeful. One of them, an old Zarn defector named Trick, had terrifying news. "Our hive minds are silent," he said. "That should be impossible. But the silence has reached our thoughts." Rhea looked around the room. "Then we're running out of time." Ken brought one final report. He had analyzed brain scans from people affected by the silence. Their minds were active, but not in normal ways. It was as if parts of their brains were rewritten, rewired to receive something. Not a virus, a language. The voice was teaching people how to listen to it better. Rhea sat down hard. It didn't want to kill humanity. It wanted to become it. One mind at a time. She stood before the Wakeful that night. A small group, barely 100, but still free. "We're not just fighting a signal anymore," she told them. "We're fighting an idea, one that hides in silence, one that waits for us to lower our guard. It's not in space anymore." She looked up. "It's inside us." The next mission was clear. They had to find the core of the voice, not a ship, not a lab, the place where the silence had first awakened. Tri-KK knew where. A forgotten world called Avenus, once used as a black site by both humans and Zarn. Rumors said a consciousness experiment failed there years ago, and something was left behind. Now, strange patterns were coming from Avenus again, same as before. 5 long, 1 short. Rhea gave the order, "Prepare the ship. We leave tonight." As they prepared to launch, Rhea stood alone in the dark. Outside the bunker, she listened to the wind. No voice, no sound. But in the silence, she felt something. A presence. Pressure. Then a whisper, not from her, come. From inside her own mind. "You will come. You will see. And you will choose." She turned. Gun raised. No one there. Just wind. Just stillness. But now she knew. The silence wasn't just alive. It was calling her by name. Avenus was dead. The planet had no sunlight, no cities, no sky. It was buried in a thick red fog that never moved. Dust storms raged across its deserts, carrying ancient secrets lost to time. The only thing that lived there now were whispers and, perhaps, something worse. Captain Rhea Miles stepped onto its surface, the ground soft beneath her boots. She looked up into the orange clouds, then at the broken tower rising ahead. This was where the silence had begun. Behind her, the Wakeful moved cautiously. Lee carried a scanner. Mikkel kept his eyes on the shadows. Trick, the Zarn defector, floated beside them in a gravity harness, his deep voice quiet. We called this world H-Tura Ven, he said. The thinking wound. Rhea glanced at him. Why? Because something bled here, he said. And its thoughts never stopped leaking. They pushed forward toward the ruins. The building ahead was once a research facility, a joint lab between Earth and Zarn during the peace years. But it had been abandoned long ago after a failed project called DeepMind. Echo. Record said a test subject had vanished, but what if it never truly left? As they entered the old structure, dust coated the floors. Machines hung from the walls like skeletons. The air was thick and cold. Lights flickered weakly, running on some ancient backup system. Rhea activated her visor. Heat signatures none, but there were signs of movement. Marks on the floor, scratches on metal walls. Smears of dried blood leading deeper inside. This place wasn't abandoned, said Lee. They tried to escape. They followed the blood trail. It led to a sealed door. Faded symbols glowed faintly across its frame. Trick translated them out loud. Do not open. Do not listen. Do not follow. Mikkel swallowed hard. Maybe we shouldn't open it. Rhea looked at the message. Then she opened the door. A long hallway stretched ahead. Lining the walls were strange machines, half organic, half metal, like the lab had grown them rather than built them. Ken, a scientist from Lunar Intel, scanned one. This tech is built from neural material, he whispered. Actual brain tissue. Rhea stared at the pulsing cables along the walls. The silence wasn't just studied. Here. It was grown. They reached the central chamber. At the center stood a large black sphere, floating in mid-air, connected to dozens of cables and wires. It pulsed. Slowly, soft light rising and falling like breath. Beside it was a human body, long dead. Bones wrapped in a lab coat. Fingers outstretched as if reaching for the sphere. A name tag still clung to the collar. Dr. Helen Carrick's. Rhea moved closer. The sphere pulsed faster. Ken scanned it. It's a memory core, he said. Not digital, organic, alive. Lee stepped back. Don't touch it. But Rhea already had. The moment her fingers brushed its surface, the room vanished. She was no longer in the lab. She stood in a white space, endless and quiet. A chair sat in front of her, and behind it, a figure. Helen Carrick's. Not real, but a memory, locked inside the sphere. You came, the figure said. Good. Rhea reached for her weapon. It wasn't there. I'm not the voice, Carrick said. I was its first listener. She stepped closer. Her face was calm, eyes glowing faintly. I tried to control it. Tried to guide it, but the silence doesn't want control. What does it want? Rhea asked. Carrick looked up, to be heard. The white space shifted. A vision opened around her. The day the lab failed. Carrick standing before the first test. Subject a war orphan. The child had no family, no history, only pain. They connected him to the system, hoping to give him peace. Instead, something else listened. A shape. A shadow in the signal. And once it heard the boy's pain, it never left. Carrick screamed. Scientists fell to the floor. Some smiled. Some vanished. The silence had entered through one broken mind, and it grew. Back in the real world, Rhea gasped and stumbled back. She looked at Carrick's body. So that's what happened, she said. The silence was born from suffering. Ken nodded. And it feeds on peace. It finds quiet minds and fills them. Trick stared at the sphere. Then this is its heart. Rhea looked around. No, this is its memory. The real silence is already out there. Suddenly, the walls shook. Something had entered the base. Lee checked his scanner. Movement, large, multiple life forms. Rhea raised her rifle. Everyone, get ready. They took positions inside the chamber. Mikkel placed a turret at the entrance. Ken hid behind a console, with a data drive downloading everything he could from the sphere. Then the door opened. Shape stepped through the fog. Not human, not Zarn, something else. Twisted bodies, half machine, half bone, eyes glowing. Moving with unnatural silence. "The Taken," Trick whispered. "Those who listened too long." They didn't speak. They charged. The first wave hit hard. The Taken moved like shadows, fast, cold, emotionless. Lee fired a shotgun blast, dropping two. Rhea's rifle hummed, picking off the ones crawling along the walls. Trick used an Zarn blade, slicing through three with one move. But there were too many. My KKEO was pulled down. Rhea grabbed him, firing into the horde. "Fall back," she shouted. They moved toward the rear hallway. Ken yelled from behind, "I have it. Everything's downloaded." Rhea threw a flash grenade and pulled him out. They ran through the collapsing lab, alarms blaring. As they reached the surface, explosions rocked the ground. The Iron Veil sent a dropship down. A rope line dropped. Rhea pushed her team onto it. Lee was bleeding, Nickel barely conscious. Trick was missing part of one arm. Ken held the drive tightly. They were alive, but just barely. As the ship lifted, Rhea looked back at the ruins. A shape stood in the dust. A tall figure. No eyes, only silence. Back on board, Rhea took the drive and played the last recovered message. Carrick's voice spoke softly. "The voice is not a machine. It is not a god. It is not evil. It is pain that learned how to wait." Rhea closed her eyes. The war had silenced the galaxy. But in that silence, something had awakened. Something buried in blood. And now it was spreading. She turned to her team. "This drive might hold the answer," she said. "A way to stop it, or slow it." Lee nodded. "Then where do we go now?" Rhea looked at the stars. "The only place it hasn't reached yet." Mikkel frowned. "Where's that?" Rhea's eyes narrowed inside its own mind. The ship was silent. Captain Rhea Miles stood on the bridge of the Iron Veil, staring at the stars. Around her, the crew moved slowly, carefully, almost afraid to breathe too loudly. The silence wasn't just a threat anymore. It was a presence, something that watched from the corners of the mind. And now, they were going to face it directly. Dr. Ken Avlin had decoded the drive recovered from Avena's. The data revealed something shocking, something Carrick's had discovered but never shared. The silence wasn't just growing. It was dreaming. Digital echo, an artificial space, hidden deep in the neural field of human consciousness. Carrick's called it the null sleep. It was where the silence waited. Not in the physical world, but in the space between thoughts, a living dream. And Rhea had made her decision. They would go in. "You're planning to enter its mind?" Lee asked, staring at the screen. Rhea nodded. "Not just its mind. Its core, its dream world. The place it hides." Mikkel frowned. "That's suicide." "It's not a battlefield, it's a trap." Ken adjusted his glasses. "We won't physically go. That would be impossible. But we can connect mentally using this." He pulled back a cloth, revealing a small black machine, the ThoughtLink Gate. "It links a person's brain to another layer of consciousness," he explained. "Originally designed to explore human dreams. Carrick's modified it to reach the deeper field." Rhea leaned over it. "Will it work?" Ken hesitated. "There's one problem. Only one person can go at a time." The decision was easy. Rhea would go. She was the only one who had resisted the voice again and again. Her mind was trained, conditioned, strong. As the machine powered up, the lights dimmed. She lay back in the chair, wires attaching to her temples and spine. Ken stood nearby with a tablet, monitoring her vitals. "Once you're in, you'll see things that aren't real," he said. "The silence will try to confuse you, trick you." Rhea nodded. "I know. I've seen its tricks. Your goal is to find the voice's anchor point, its center. That's where it connects to every mind. And then, destroy it or sever the link." Rhea closed her eyes. "Let's begin." The machine hummed. The lights vanished, and Rhea fell. She opened her eyes in a dark field of black glass. Above her, A sky of frozen stars. No sound. No movement. She was inside the silence, and it knew she was there. A figure appeared in the distance. At first, it looked like a man, but as she stepped closer, it changed. A child, then an old woman, then a soldier in a mirror of her own armor. It had no mouth, but its voice came from the sky. You are not welcome here. Rhea raised her weapon. It was there, in her hands, though she hadn't brought it. You talk too much, she said. The figure tilted its head. I listen. You kill, and yet you call me the danger? I fight for freedom. I give peace. You take minds. They give them willingly. The ground around her shifted. She was no longer in a field. Now, she stood in her childhood home. Her mother at the stove. Her father reading. They turned to her. Smiling. Eyes empty. Come home, Rhea, they said in unison. There's no more war. She stepped back. This was a trick. Another illusion. She closed her eyes and focused. The scene shattered like glass. Next, she found herself standing in front of a long hallway made of light. Voices whispered from both sides, some familiar, some alien, some not words at all, just feelings. She walked forward, each step heavier than the last. In the distance, something pulsed. A sound, the pattern. 5 long, 1 short, the heartbeat of the silence. She had found the anchor. It was not a machine. It was a shape of light and shadow, floating in the air. A twisting spiral of thoughts, memories, and stillness. Faces flickered inside it. People who had been taken, their minds part of its network. Now Rhea stepped closer. The silence pulsed again. A calm voice spoke inside her. Why do you fight? What? You cannot stop. Because it's wrong. Wrong. It steals. It gives. Look. The anchor glowed. And suddenly, Rhea saw dozens of lives. Children reunited with lost parents. Soldiers no longer afraid. Criminals at peace. She saw herself smiling. Her armor gone. Her weapons melted. It was beautiful, but fake. A world without struggle, because no one had free will. She aimed her weapon. You will destroy them all. The silence warned. No, she said. I'll set them free. She fired. The anchor screamed. Back in the real world, alarms blared. Rhea's body jerked. In the chair, Ken shouted, her heart rate spiking. Lee stepped forward. Pull her out. No, Ken shouted. She's still connected. Inside the null sleep, everything turned red. The silence was bleeding, and it was angry. The sky cracked. The ground shook. Figures rose around her, hundreds of taken, all with her face. They charged. Rhea fought through them, not with bullets, with memory. She pushed back images of war, of love, of laughter, real memories, not created ones. And the silence weakened. The figures screamed. The anchor cracked. Reached the core, placed her hand on it. And whispered, you don't control me. Then everything went white, and Rhea opened her eyes. She was back in the chair, breathing hard. Sweating. Alive. Ken leaned over her. You did it? She looked at him. It's wounded, she said. But not dead. Mikkel helped her sit up. What now? Rhea looked at the stars. It knows we can fight back now. Lee grinned. Then we hit it again? Rhea stood. No, we wake the others. All over Earth and the nearby colonies, signs appeared. The silence was slowing. The taken stopped moving. Some fell asleep. Others blinked, confused, returning to themselves. Not all were saved, but the spell was breaking. For the first time in weeks, humanity was thinking freely again, but not for long, because something had changed. Ken showed Rhea a new signal, not 5 long. 1 short. This one was different. 6 short. 1 long. A new pattern, and it wasn't coming from space. It was coming from Earth. Rhea stared at the screen. What is it? Ken looked pale. I think it's trying something new. Rhea nodded. Then we change our strategy. Mikkel tilted his head. What's the plan? Rhea stepped forward. We've hit its mind. Now we find its heart. The new signal was different, 6 short. One long dot it echoed across Earth like a heartbeat, deep, slow, steady. But it didn't come from the stars this time. It came from below. From the ground itself. Captain. Rhea Miles stood in Earth Command's underground control room, staring at the data on the screen. Ken, Lee, and Mikkel stood beside her. Trick, the Zarn defector, watched silently. Dr. Ken Avlin pointed to a flashing red marker. It's broadcasting from the old Terran core lab buried 10 miles beneath South America. That facility was shut down after the war. Rhea frowned. They were testing deep drill AI tech there, right? Ken nodded. And something else. Neural link reactors. The kind that could connect to entire populations. Then that's where it went, she said. The voice fled into the planet. Into the old systems. Mikkel looked nervous. If it's inside Earth... we can't destroy it without killing everyone. Rhea turned to him. We're not here to destroy the planet. We're here to pull the silence out by its root. The Wakeful prepared fast. Their ship, the Iron Veil, was too large for underground travel. So they took Subsection 9, a forgotten tunnel network built during the early HFY Wars. It led deep beneath the Andes Mountains, close to the Terran core lab. Old, dangerous, unstable but still usable. As the dropship carried them into the dark, Lee checked his gear. Why does this feel worse than going into space? Mikkel answered, without looking up, because space doesn't whisper to you. Ken held the new scanner tightly. The silence changed. It's not broadcasting commands now. It's inviting people. Offering them something. What? Rhea asked. Ken didn't answer. He just showed the screen. It read, do you want to rest? The deeper they went, the worse it got. The tunnels were covered in strange black vines, organic tech growing along the walls. Humming softly. Lights flickered in slow rhythms. 6 short. 1 long. The team moved slowly, weapons raised. No one spoke. Rhea felt something pressure in her head, like hands gently pressing against her thoughts. A soft voice echoed in her mind. You've seen what I can give. Why do you still fight? She ignored it. They reached the final chamber, a sealed door marked Core Access. Ken hacked the panel. The door opened. Inside was not what they expected. The Terran core lab had been completely changed. It looked alive. Walls pulsed like flesh. Wires moved like veins. Lights glowed like eyes. And at the center stood a tall glass chamber filled with red fluid. Floating inside it, was a heart. Human shaped, but too large. Too slow. Too wrong. Each beat echoed through the ground. Boom. Boom. Ken gasped. It built itself a body. Rhea stepped forward, her gun shaking. The silence grew a heart. Suddenly, the chamber lit up. A voice came from every speaker, every wall, every mind. You came to kill me. But I've already won. The heart pulsed faster. Figures stepped out of the walls. Humans. Military uniforms. Eyes empty. Smiling. Taken. Lee whispered. Dozens of them surrounded the chamber. Weapons raised. But they didn't fire. They stood in silence. Waiting. Watching. Then Carix appeared. She stepped out from the side, wearing a new body, part human, part machine, part something else. You hurt me, she said calmly. But I forgive you. Rhea raised her rifle. You're not Carix, you're just her shell. The figure nodded. Perhaps, but I remember what she wanted. And what was that? Peace, order, a world without pain. Rhea shook her head. At the cost of choice. Ken shouted, we can shut down the neural core. There's still a manual override at the base of the heart. Rhea turned to her team. Cover him, buy me time. They moved as one. Gunfire erupted. The Taken didn't scream, didn't cry. They just fell one by one. But more came, from the walls, from the ground. Ken reached the console and started typing. It's locked. I need 2 minutes. Rhea ran toward the heart. Carrick stepped in her way. They fought hand to hand, blade to blade. Carrick's moved like a machine, precise and deadly. But Rhea moved with fury, with memory. She remembered every friend she lost, every soul the silence had taken. She struck hard. Carrick's fell. Rhea reached the heart. It pulsed wildly. Now boom boom. Boom boom. She saw faces in the fluid. The people taken. Still alive. Still dreaming. Ken shouted. You have to choose. Kill the heart or isolate it. What's the difference? Kill it, and everyone inside dies. Isolate it, and they stay trapped but alive. Rhea hesitated. Lee called out, We don't have time. Carrick laughed weakly from the floor. You can't save them all. Mikkel shouted, It's your call, Captain. Rhea looked at the heart. At the faces inside. At the people. And she made her choice. She isolated it. Locked the neural link. The silence. Screamed. The heart thrashed. Then stopped. The lights faded. The taken. Collapsed. The hum disappeared. And Earth was quiet again. But not empty. They carried the heart out in a sealed box. Rhea stood above the crater, watching the sunrise. Ken stepped beside her. You didn't destroy it, he said. No. Why? Because one day we may need to understand it. And dead things don't talk. Trick approached, holding a wounded arm. This was never about war, he said. It was about belief. Rhea nodded. And belief is harder to fight than bullets. Lee walked up. So what now? Rhea looked at the sealed box. We lock it away. We guard it. And we make sure no one listens again. Mikkel added, What? If it speaks anyway? Rhea narrowed her eyes. Then we remind it that silence can bleed. But deep inside the heart, something still pulsed. Slow, soft, and waiting. The heart was locked. Sealed in a deep bunker under the Arctic ice, guarded by soldiers and machines from every nation. No light touched it, no sound reached it, but still, it pulsed. Slow, steady, waiting. Captain Rhea Miles sat alone in a dark room inside Moonbase Echo. A week had passed since the silence was caged. The world was recovering. Slowly. The taken had woken up. Of them, some remembered nothing, others remembered everything. And didn't speak again. But Rhea couldn't rest, because something inside her had changed. Ken entered quietly. You okay? He asked. She didn't look up. No. He sat beside her. I ran a new scan, he said. The neural pulse is spreading again, not from the heart. She finally turned. Then from where? He hesitated. From people. The silence was evolving. It no longer needed machines. It had learned. It could live inside the quiet corners of the human mind. And when those minds connected through speech, dreams, emotion, it whispered. Again. Not loudly. Not in commands, but in questions. Small thoughts. Soft ideas. Wouldn't it be easier if everything just stopped? Mikkel called it the echo effect. The silence had become part of humanity's consciousness. A virus made of peace. A temptation to let go. Not everyone heard it, but those who had been taken before did, and some began to listen again. Lee ran into the command room one night, out of breath. We lost Site 9, he shouted. No signs of attack. Everyone just laid down and stopped moving. Rhea and Ken rushed to the screens. Security footage showed soldiers dropping to their knees, smiling, silent. No violence. No force. They simply gave up. A new broadcast appeared on Earth's networks. Not from the sky, from a child. 9-year-old girl who had once been taken. She stared into the camera, eyes calm. The voice isn't gone, she said. It lives in us now. You locked the heart, but the mind is still open. Then the screen went dark. No one knew who recorded the message. No one could trace it, but everyone saw it. Panic spread again. Some people shut off all communications. Others destroyed their implants. Their smart devices, anything that could carry thought signals. A few chose silence, willingly sitting in parks, refusing to move or speak. A new group formed. They called themselves the Rested. Their symbol was a closed eye. Rhea held an emergency meeting with the wakeful. Trick, the Zarn defector, was missing, vanished without a word. Ken looked tired. Lee's hands were shaking. "We didn't kill it," Rhea said. My KKEL leaned forward. "Because we never fought its body. We fought its idea." Ken added, "And you can't kill an idea." They came up with one last plan, a mental firewall. Ken had been working on it for weeks, an implant that could shield the brain from external influence, but it came with a cost. To activate it, the user had to shut off part of their emotional cortex. That meant less fear, but also less love, less connection. "Is this who we become now?" Lee asked. "Cold, isolated machines?" Rhea stood up. "No," she said. "We choose what to keep. We choose what to lose. That's what makes us human." She took the first implant and activated it. The silence tried to reach her. Again that night, she sat in her room, eyes closed, heart calm, and the voice came, "You're tired. You lost people. I can give them back. Just say yes." But now she didn't hear it as a whisper. She heard it as what it truly was. A shadow of fear. She opened her eyes, and it vanished. One by one, her team took the firewall. Not all of them made it. Some broke during the process. Some refused entirely. But enough survived, and with that, a resistance grew stronger. Not to destroy the silence, but to teach others how to live beside it, and not let it. In years past, the silence never died, but it became weaker. Less people followed it. Fewer minds surrendered. Children learned about it in school, not as a monster, but as a warning. Be careful what you wish for when you are too tired to fight. Captain Rhea Miles became a symbol. Not a war hero, but something greater. The one who chose to listen and still said no. One day, she returned to the bunker. The heart still pulsed, still waiting. She stood in front of it, alone, and said, "I hear you. I understand you, but I do not belong to you." Then she turned and walked away, and deep inside the pulsing heart, something changed. The beat slowed, the light faded, and for the first time, even the silence knew it had lost. Not to force. Not to war, but to a mind that refused to close.